Good evening and welcome, viewers. It comes as an air of freshness on the evening of a budget 2 months before a general election to not have election-related sops doled out to the electorate. For it had become accepted tradition by the Chidambaram era to throw carrots to the electorate, one constituency after the other as part of traditional budgetary announcements. Suddenly they'd wake up to women being a constituency. Suddenly they would wake up the night before and say, let's woo the army personnel, like they did on the eve of the 2014 budget, suddenly waking up and saying, okay, let's throw a sop by way of a VC fund to provide concessional finance to scheduled castes and fling them some initial capital to make them happy. This is wrong thinking, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to develop the nation, you cannot do so by throwing carrots at people. This thinking, ladies and gentlemen, this distasteful mindset that treated the people of this country, the electorate, as some sort of pre-poll cattle for decades has come to an end with today's budget. It may be an interim budget, but there is a message here. The message that this business of pre-election populism today, I can say with finality, does not belong in the Modi era. Like they did in 2019, and I may even go as far as to say that the 2024 aggression of the Modi government in terms of their surety with themselves of a third term is higher than it was in 2019. This government is more sure, even more sure of being re-elected than they were in 2019. And nothing exudes it more than the union interim budget that we saw Mrs. Nirmala Sitharaman deliver today. One, it ditched the populism for the purpose of long-term policy. Two, it went for continuity instead of some knee-jerk reaction to an upcoming election. Three, it solidly rallied behind what it believed in, going down and empowering the poor, the women, widening the ambits of the schemes instead of flicking some freebies to the downtrodden. Four, aggression in fiscal. They've not just been prudent, showing how secure the economy is and giving the longer roadmap for stability. Five, the generosity in capex, an 11% plus increase in a huge capital allocation already for infrastructure, ladies and gentlemen, is no joke. It's commitment that we'll build the country. Commitment will build the roads of the country and the bridges of the country and create the logistics of the country, so no one ever says that China's infrastructure is better than ours. Ladies and gentlemen, this is no joke. It convinces, no matter how cynical you are, that this government of our great nation believes in growth, the belief in investment for the future. Ladies and gentlemen, a 1 lakh crore investment into the sunrise domain tells you that this government, our government, believes into investment, into innovation and the future of technology. 7, the focus of women, not just by way of enhancing schemes, but also by bringing key healthcare announcements into the ambit for women. They are going to the root to solve the problem. And finally, number 8, ladies and gentlemen, this is a budget for all. The Modi government, with continuity and clarity, has delivered a budget which is not pro anyone, which is rather for everybody. No special dole-outs, no special carrots, no one above the other. And like the finance minister said today, this is true secularism. It may prick many in the indie today, but largely the Ivy League so-called economists come politicians, ladies and gentlemen, must accept today that they have been shoved into silence. They don't know how to react. They realize that this government has got the fundamentals absolutely right. And when you get the fundamental right, the incidentals follow. Ladies and gentlemen, that's my view. Debate number 1 tonight. Maybe an interim budget, but a budget which has a big message. A big message. And debate number 2 this evening, we have dramatic political events in Jharkhand. But more than what happens and who takes over, we must talk about what Hemant Soren has done. And debate number 3 tonight, we have the brother of DK Shivakumar in Karnataka talking about a separate nation for the South. I mean, what is Rahul Gandhi doing? Does Sonia Gandhi endorse this as well? the secessionist comment by the Indie leader. But first, let's quickly recap the main points in the interim budget presented by Nirmala Sitharaman. There's so much in the budget, but more so I believe that the main headline here is what isn't there. There are no SOPs. There is no desperately putting out carrots. There is not seeking votes in the name of the presentation of a budget. It seems there is a quiet confidence in the Modi government that you don't need to use the budgetary process to try and win an election. Let's debate.
Historic, inclusive, visionary. The interim budget is all about growth, governance and giving direction.
आज का ये बजट इंटरिम बजट तो है ही, लेकिन ये बजट इंक्लूसिव और इनोवेटिव बजट है.
The interim budget lays Modi government's roadmap to Vikasit Bharat.
A pragmatic budget and not a populist one, the budget clearly underlined the government's intent on long-term and sustained economic growth. With FY 2025 capital expenditure increased by 11.1% to 11.11 lakh crore and fiscal deficit for the current financial year revised to 5.8%, the vitals of the budget has provided for growth.
With Lok Sabha polls just weeks away, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman called for a resounding mandate.
When our government, under the visionary and dynamic leadership of Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi, assumed office in 2014, the country was facing enormous challenges. With Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas as its mantra, the government overcame those challenges in right earnest. The country got a new sense of purpose and hope. Naturally, the people blessed the government with a bigger mandate.
Industry experts feel the budget encapsulates new definition of GDP.
ऐसे कदम उठाए जा रहे हैं जिससे हमारी इकोनॉमी निरंतर बढ़ती रहे, 2047 में एक विकसित देश बन सके. और जो जिस प्रॉमिस से ये सरकार का इलेक्शन हुआ था, सबका साथ, सबका विकास, सबका विश्वास, उसी की ओर ये सरकार बढ़ रही है.
Looking at fiscal deficit, which is in the current year going to be at 5.8 instead of 5.9, which is better than the original budget. And for next year, in the coming year, it is being pegged at 5.1 instead of 5.4. So to my mind, that's again a very bold measure and a very responsible measure, because that will help to tame inflation.
The Atmanirbhar technology that has been developed in Vande Bharat and many metros, that is going to basically reduce the cost of logistics even further, not only of freight but also passenger traffic. And that's where basically government is now very keen to use indigenously developed technologies.
Opposition claims the government is hoodwinking people just ahead of the mega polls.
हमें देखना है कि कौन सा बजट है. बेरोजगारी से रोजगार मिलने का बजट ही है क्या? ये गरीबों की रोजाना खर्चा करने की ताकत बढ़ाने की बजट है ये क्या? हमारे देश आज विश्व में 111 नंबर सूचकांक पर आ गए.
जो आंकड़े वित्त मंत्री ने प्रस्तुत किए हैं वो बढ़ेंगे. इसका ये मतलब है कि सरकार कर्जा लेकर अपना खर्चा चला रही है.
2014 में जो लंबे चौड़े वादे किए थे अपने कैंपेन में, वो आज तक नहीं हुआ. ज्ञान का एक नया डेफिनेशन मिला, पर ज्ञान में गरीबों के लिए क्या इस बजट में आया, युवाओं के लिए क्या आया, नारी शक्ति के लिए क्या आया? कुछ भी नहीं आया है. सिर्फ उनको ठेंगा दिखा दिया गया. मैं कहती हूँ ठंडे मौसम में ठंडा पानी आम जनता की उम्मीदों पे डालने का काम इस बजट में किया है.
Is the opposition uncomfortable after its assumption over proved wrong? Let's debate.